All right, everybody, good afternoon. Hope you guys enjoyed the show with Brandon just now. If you didn't catch it live, definitely catch the VOD. Talked about the Titans, talked about the Vikings coming up here. You know the drill, you know what it's all about. And now we've got some other stuff to talk about because normally I would do the rooting guide on Thursday, like Thursday afternoon. But this week we actually have a morning Thursday game, and then we have an early afternoon Thursday game. So I want to do this before the football starts, not after. So we're just going to go ahead and do it now. And it's not like anything's really going to change that much between now and tomorrow, so should be fine. And obviously I am going to post videos on Thursday, but I prefer to keep it to a minimum, honestly. When you think about it, just kind of makes sense. But yeah. So Thursday, we got 3 games, and this first one is very, very interesting. This one is going to be very tricky to figure out. I'll just say that. All right, guys, before I go any further, I want to tell you guys about my buddies over at Sleeper. And let me tell you, if you're not using Sleeper for daily fantasy football, you are missing out. Check out the left side of your screen right now. Look at all the fun stuff you can get up to. Look at all the stuff you can pick one way or the other on. I've got an entry for this week, the Thanksgiving week of football. We got George Pickens over 75.5 yards against Kansas City. I got Chase Brown and JSN scoring anytime touchdowns in their respective games. And I've got Josh Allen throwing for at least 2 touchdowns against Pittsburgh. Get on over there. You can put together bet slips just like this one. And if you use promo code SBN, that is SBN, you can get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Check out Sleeper today. Go put your picks down and have fun with sports this year. So, Packers currently ahead by the slightest of margins because of their tie with Dallas, but both teams very much in the playoff race. I looked at it. Both teams have a very tough remaining schedule. Both teams are liable to lose a lot. The Packers still play the Bears twice. They still have a game against what was I thinking of? Well, I know the Lions play the Rams, so the Packers don't play the Rams. The Packers and Lions really could both lose. I'd say 3 games the rest of the way very easily, and it wouldn't shock me if one of them slipped out. Now the question is, who do you think is more likely to slip out? Like the Lions, they play the Rams. I think they have one more game against the Bears. And then you've got what the Packers are dealing with. This one, it feels like a coin flip. I guess I would say that I think the Packers are less of a threat. But at the same time, I don't want to go to Lambeau Field in the playoffs. I'd much rather play in Ford Field. It's a dome, relatively controlled environment. So I think I'd rather the Lions win the division. So if we end up having to play them, it's going to be in Detroit, but that's okay. I don't know if it's okay going to Lambeau as much as I don't know about that Packers team at this point. It's a tough one, man. I guess I'll say I want the Lions to win just because of that, but you could go the other way pretty easily. You could go the other way. Part of it depends on how you think both teams are going to do the rest of the season. Luckily, the next one's easy, Chiefs Cowboys. This would be a great time to just nip this incipient second half surge by Dallas in the bud. If Kansas City could win this game, that's pretty much it for Dallas. Then they lose this game, the best they can do is 10-6-1. It could be good enough, but it also really could not be. And that assumes they win out, which is not something that is safe to assume at all. So, yeah, big Chiefs fans. Bengals, Ravens. Definitely rooting for the Bengals here. Remember, the Rams beat the Ravens. We want the strength of victory stuff to get pulled down a little bit. We don't play the Ravens, so we don't have a chance to cancel that out. So we would like the Bengals to keep on pushing down the Ravens, and hopefully it results in eventually some kind of impact. And then we got a Friday game too. We got a Friday game as well, and this is another kind of tough one. 2 division leaders, Bears versus Eagles. The difference is the Bears are very liable to lose the division lead when you look at who's behind them. And the Eagles, hard to imagine they're going to lose the division lead. They're not as good as we thought maybe. They've got problems, but I don't think anybody in that division can catch them because nobody's good enough. So, that being the case, I guess I'd rather the Eagles win because I think the Eagles are just going to win the division, and I'd rather push the Bears out. There is an argument to just go for the whole thing and just say, look, we need the Eagles to lose at least one more game to catch them, so let's just have it happen here. I would definitely prefer it to happen in a different game, but yeah, you don't know if that's going to happen. You don't know if they're going to play another team that can beat them or does beat them rather. I mean, can beat doesn't really mean much. So it's tough, man. There were some really good matchups this week. I'm going to say that, especially with Seattle being in the position that they're in right now, more important to just get in. I'll think about the 1 seed stuff when probably after we beat the Rams. If we beat the Rams, that's different. But right now we are clearly in the position of getting a wild card spot. So with that being the case, I'd rather try to flush the Bears out a little bit. But it's tough, man. These ones are hard. We get to Sunday. Niners, Browns, pretty simple one here. Probably not getting no help here, but the Browns have helped us at least once this year already. So if they could beat the Niners, would deeply appreciate that. Jaguars versus Titans. We beat Jacksonville. The Niners lost to Jacksonville, so maybe that tiebreaker comes into play. And everybody's going to beat the Titans except for Arizona this year probably, so that doesn't really help us if they win. The Jaguars winning helps a little bit, so rooting for Jacksonville, not a big deal, but a small deal. Texans versus Colts. We already beat the Texans. We know that the Rams did and the Niners didn't. We don't know what we're going to do against the Colts yet, right? We don't know what's going on with the Colts yet. If we beat them, then this game doesn't really mean anything. But right now we live in a limbo world where we don't know. So I guess we just want Houston to win because we know for a fact we beat them. But it may not end up mattering, again, like I said, as long as we beat the Colts. And if the Niners lose to the Colts, which I think is a reasonable bet at this point, then I think that I think this one doesn't matter. But for the moment, we want the Texans to win. Saints, Dolphins. We played the Saints, so I guess we want the Saints to win. And we also beat them, so doubly so, but it's pretty thin. Also pretty darn unlikely, if we're being honest. But if we're going to root for somebody, may as well. Falcons, Jets. Need Atlanta to keep piling up the wins, push that pick down a little bit. There is a little bit of a... There's a little bit of a pathway for them to end up having an okay year and their pick not being that high without them being a very good team. And obviously they're not a very good team, but if they could just even gut out like 7 wins, that would be pretty big. Cardinals, Buccaneers, interesting. Arizona's out. They're not a threat. I don't really care if they win or lose anymore for playoff purposes. More than anything right now, I'm thinking about that Arizona draft pick that right now looks like it's going to be really high. So, want them to win because of that. And let's face it, Tampa Bay, while they don't really look like a threat right now, they're certainly more of a threat than the Cardinals, and they're still probably, of the teams in the NFC West, the most likely, or NFC South, most likely to make the playoffs. So, yeah, we just want Arizona to win, and we might want Arizona to just win as many games as possible. I'm not worried about them at all. Even if they go 9-8, there's no way 9-8 gets it done. And yeah, all they can do is ruin other team seasons, like Tampa. Final early game, Rams-Panthers. Pretty straightforward here. Panthers couldn't help us last week. Maybe they can help us this week. I'm not really counting on it. Definitely can make that NFC South a little interesting if they find a way to, though. Like Tampa is sputtering and Atlanta has already sputtered to the point where it's probably too late. Panthers win here. You're cooking something up pretty good. Bills, Steelers, like I said several times already, since we beat the Steelers, strength of victory wants them to keep winning and strength of schedule. So, rooting for the Steelers here. Raiders versus Chargers, nothing really going on. Root for whoever. Broncos, Commanders, again, I'm not really thinking about the Commanders as any kind of a threat anymore. At 8 losses, you can forget about it. If they win out, I still don't think they're going to get all that close to a playoff spot. And I mean, honestly, I'd probably rather they win because it would make their pick worse. And Denver's an AFC team, so I don't care about their pick, and their pick doesn't really matter anyway because they're clearly a playoff team and probably at this point a division winning team. So I guess I want the Commanders to win. Also, strength of schedule, strength of victory stuff. Seems kind of goofy to even talk about it because it's obviously not happening, but while we're here, sure, why not? We want the Commanders to win. And then we got Giants, Patriots. It feels like a waste of time hoping for anything in this game. I guess that at this point we want the Giants to put together some wins to mess up their pick a little bit, just because NFC versus AFC, but it's super thin. Like the Giants are not some big Seahawks rival that I'm terrified they're going to get a really good player and become some elite team. No, I think that team is in a death spiral until they get better ownership. But I can't think of anything else right now, so let's go with it. And that's it for the rooting guide this week. Let me know what you guys think. See you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos later.